People who legally died for a few minutes and came back, what was it like? Don't know, I was 10 months old. 3 heart attacks, in the last one they gave up and declared me dead. I came back on my own. Hated the other side, I supposed. This makes me think more than one afterlife is out there. I remember being very intrigued by MT when I was younger, and there were all kinds of studies done that basically found that people that used MT, and people that died and came back or nearly died, had very similar out-of-body experiences. This whole topic is very interesting. I grew up with a mostly managed heart arrhythmia that wasn't dangerous unless my heart rate was too high for too long. 3 times it met that standard, and twice they had to stop then restart my heart. I remember the first time, which was very scary. They gave me a drug and my heart stopped beating in my chest for about 30 seconds. I felt massive pressure like an elephant was settling on my chest and thought I was turning bright red. My dad says I actually turned grey. I could breathe for the first bit of it, but I still felt like I was suffocating because breathing came with no release. Then my heart came back on its own, and it was fine. I don't remember anything at all about the second time, when my heart didn't come back on its own. My mom says I didn't have a heart rate for maybe 2 minutes and I looked totally gone until they shocked my rhythm back. Wish I remembered anything, but I think the episode was so traumatic that my brain wiped the tapes on that entire day. A $132,000 bill. It was like 0 time had passed at all. I didn't even know it happened. One moment I was somewhere, and the very next instant all I see is sky, and paramedic heads. I had been down for somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 minutes, no pulse when they found me. Heroin overdose. I've been clean 4.5 years. It's scary, especially because it didn't seem like any big deal to me, because it wasn't. I never experienced what anyone around me experienced, so for me it was just like a time blip. It took a while for me to process just how bad that was and how close of a call it was. Edit for clarity, I was never pronounced dead. I had an O2 bag on my face being worked when I came out of it, so I was being treated very much alive despite having no vitals for those moments. My story is kinda boring somehow, but here it goes. Last August, I OD'd accidentally after taking pain meds for a broken hand, drinking and then taking some sleeping pills. I passed out in my apartment and stopped breathing. By the time the paramedics got me into the ambulance and set up, I died a bit. Lamo, it's so weird to type this out. Thankfully, they were able to bring me back and I woke up in the resuscitation room. I didn't remember anything besides darkness and feeling like I was comfortable and sleeping deeply. No light, no sensations, just sleep. When I did wake up, I was very confused. I had memory of what happened and I thought I was still in bed for a couple of seconds until I saw a friend of mine, a surgeon at the hospital, standing next to me. That was when I realized that I'd fucked up really bad. Overall, it wasn't that scary. Even when I was slipping away into unconsciousness, I felt no fear or sadness. Just comfort. I guess that's the scariest part. The end. I was actually legally dead twice on the table, but a nurse had some passion for me and kept trying different things even though the doctors wanted to call it. I owe that nurse my life. Anyway, I can't remember much, but I was told that when I came out of the coma, I was saying strange things. I was talking to people that weren't there and I kept calling people by a different name, not everyone but some people. My grandfather wrote in his journal different things I told him, and some of these things are interesting. I told him about this beautiful staircase that was unlike any I had ever seen before. It was a massive staircase, but I couldn't see where it began or where it ended, and it curved upwards to a large open space that was so beautiful. I didn't see anyone or hear anything, but I felt both peace and comfort. I was scared the entire time, but not for myself. I was more concerned about the people I would have left behind. I think back to this time and I can't remember any of it, but it was a profound experience that kind of pissed me off because I don't really believe what happened and I'm also a bit on the atheist side. Part of me hopes there is more after death, but another part of me hopes that it isn't singular to a specific belief system. I was resuscitated from a suicide hanging. Everything was black and nothing existed. I'm sorry there isn't more to say. I was quite disappointed myself. Sometimes I questioned if there was more going on and the trauma just erased it from my brain. I've heard a lot that it feels like you're not losing energy for once. Like you are actually getting comfortable rest to get energy back. Staying alive is exhausting. I OD'd twice on heroin about 10 years ago. They were true odds, as in my heart actually stopped. One was for 8 minutes, the other was for 12 minutes. The first time my buddy I was using with gave me CPR until paramedics showed up. The second time my mom found me in my room and have me CPR until paramedics came. Both times it was just like a dreamless sleep. Except I woke up to the most intense pain imaginable due to the Narcan. I was really sick of some virus when I was like 5 to 6, fever and vomits and all. I was sleeping when I dreamed of being hit by a car and going to a place really warm and peaceful. I was sitting in the grass and my dead grandfather was there with me, talking, and then he said that it was not my time and that I had to come back, and I woke up and my mom was screaming and it was chaos. My mom told me that she woke up and saw me standing in her door, so she got up and went to my room, and I wasn't breathing. She started to scream to my dad to call the ambulance, gave me CPR and then I woke up. I guess I died while I was asleep, and I was in the hospital for a while because I was very sick. Have you ever fainted? Like been on a roller coaster and fainted because of the G-force? It was like that for me. I felt so crappy then my BP started dropping. I remember an alarm, a lot of people coming into the room, moving my arms and my head, then bliss. I don't know how much time passed, all I know is I woke up, there were still people in the room but less chaos and I was still feeling crappy. I've died twice, both times from respiratory distress. The first I was on a table. If you've ever fainted, that's what it was like for me. Next thing I know I'm floating above the table and I see the nurses/doctor working on me. I hear the machine making the flatline noise. My mom was in the corner yelling and crying. I don't know how long I was floating but I felt like I was being pulled, then I woke up. That time I was dead 5 minutes. A couple of years later I was having visitation with my biological father and I started to experience the same thing as above. He wouldn't take me to the hospital so he just took me over to my aunt's house and dropped me off on the couch. They called my mom at her work and she rushed to get me. I felt myself get off the couch but the room was eerily still. I turned around and saw myself twitching on the couch. I was walking around the room for a few minutes and I hear my mom's cutlass come roaring down the road. I ran back over to my body and got sucked back in basically. As she came to the door I woke up and was coughing/gasping for air. You should check out the show I Survived, Beyond and Back. When I was a teenager I had leukemia and there was a set of shots that we would do at home that my mom would give me. We did not know that I would have a toxic reaction towards the end of the series. After getting a shot and right before dinner I told my mom I wasn't feeling well and I passed out and stopped breathing. I was dead for at least a couple of minutes before my dad started CPR and the medics came. I do not remember telling my mom that I felt weird. Next thing I remember was feeling very cold and hearing my mom's voice. They were taking me out to the ambulance and it was winter time. My mom was talking to them. I later found out. I was very out of it but I felt warm hands on my arm and a woman telling me it was going to be okay. I guess at one point I hugged her and told her I loved her. I have kept in touch with her over the years. If I could have the feeling of the warm hands and someone telling me everything was going to be okay when I die for real, I will be happy. They thought I died. I didn't notice. Last thing I remember was passing out and then waking up, nothing in between. I wasn't aware that I had died until I was told later. I left my body and visited my closest loved ones. I knew I had died and it was an attempt at suicide via OD. It was like a long lucid dream. I had given up physically and mentally, and I essentially was guided around by some unknown force showing me my family, and I was telepathically told that I have free will and I can die if I choose, but I have so much yet to do on Earth and my family needs me as well as others. The message was clear and I decided that I needed to come back and continue on. Then I awoke at the brink of death, huddled up like a dying cat in a bathroom, alone and cold, having not eaten for days. I didn't have any doubt in my mind what happened wasn't real, but what really truly solidifies it was when I was talking to my mom. They all had no idea at the time what had happened, and she kept telling me my sister was freaking out because she said she saw me walking around the house the other night when I was not even at the house, and it scared her. When my mom told her the next morning that I wasn't even in town. My mom knows I'm into astral traveling, so she joked that I had visited the family. Just so happened to be the same day I died and felt my body beat its last beat, and I gave up completely and went for an out-of-body travel with probably my spirit guide, who made it very clear that this was not supposed to happen and my mission wasn't finished here on Earth. I'm much better now and kicked the addiction and life habits and haven't been this happy since I was little.
With